Hi, this is Chris German from the Apartment Dealer, and today we're bringing you our second installment from Bruce Norris's presentation from our last Apartment Owners Educational Luncheon. If you missed our first installment, first of all, I suggest you go back and watch that. But the punchline, if you will, is that all the market analytics tell us that this market should be going gangbusters. The affordability index is great, income, unemployment, everything from a statistical basis from the analytics tells us that in previous markets, when we would have charts, so to speak, like these, the market should be off the charts. And yet we're struggling, we're sluggish. And his question to the audience was, if we have great charts, great analytics, and the market's sluggish, what happens when there's a catastrophic event? Today I'm speaking or recording this on Friday. The market just dropped, the stock market just dropped 350 points, I believe it is. What happens when something catastrophic happens in the stock market and then we do have bad charts? What will that do to values? Right now, if you haven't heard, the state of California is contemplating statewide rent control. If you take that and mix it in with a market that's already sluggish, what does that potentially do? Now, of course, we don't know, and I'm not here to share doom and gloom. The idea, though, is to be cognizant of what's the reality, that we've had a great market for the last 8, 9 years. And as they say, all good things must come to an end, and we need to be cognizant of what's taking place in the market. So today we're going to shift to, again, Bruce's second part of his presentation, where he discusses migration. Many people contemplating investments outside of the state. But is it really feasible? Is it really something to take a look at? Are people truly migrating out of California? What are the reasons behind it? And when you're contemplating out-of-state investments, as Bruce does invest out of state, what are some things to analyze? What are some considerations to take as you choose which of these great states that you potentially may invest in? So let's go to that clip now.
One of the things that I like to do is I like to go to Google and ask questions, because I try to find where maybe I'm going to put some of my own money. And I'm not telling you to do anything other than what you're doing, but this is how I think. So income gained or lost due to domestic migration. So as a state, California is 49th out of 50th, losing the most money, and Florida is the #1 recipient. Number one actually is more than number 2, 3, 4, and 5 combined. So Florida ends up with people with money migrating there. Pretty obviously, they're a place for seniors that like to go there, and they don't have a state tax. So their migration is very good. This is another important thing. Fiscal solvency. Florida #4 and California #42. This is what's interesting about having a fiscal problem, is you have to dream up ways to create income. And the legislatures are working overtime on that. I just spoke in Sacramento, and before I got there, I looked up some legislation that had passed, and it shocked me. I couldn't believe that this actually was true. In Oakland, this isn't proposed, this is already passed, that if you own a vacant lot, you have been assessed $6,000. Doesn't matter what size the lot is. It doesn't matter if it can be used for anything. You have a $6,000 additional property tax on your lot. Now, who dreamed that one up? Somebody that needed to create revenue. Why would it pass? Well, how many people own vacant lots? Are you guys worried about Prop 13 and a split roll? I would be, because guess what? What percentage of the population owns big stuff? Not a lot. So that's how they get around stuff. What would happen to the valuation of commercial if they were able to change the value of the taxes? Would it matter to your apartment building? Would it matter if you were leasing from a net commercial space and you got handed a tax bill that was completely nuts and took out your profit? That's what concerns me about California. We're going to look for things and how to make money. San Francisco has a bill that's moving forward. You know, thinking that this is, I don't even know why you'd think this up, but this is actually moving forward. Somebody emailed it to me and said, this is no joke, this is actually progressing. There's a square foot penalty that they are proposing in San Francisco. So 2 people can occupy 1,000 square feet, no penalty. If you're over that, for every 500 square feet extra, you pay $5,000 additional property tax. So if you live in 2,500 square feet, you have $15,000 of property tax added to your tax bill. And that's going to get voted on by people. That's a scary thought. My wife and I are just ourselves. We live in 5,500 square feet. If I lived in San Francisco, I'd be concerned because that's a $45,000 tax bill every year because I like to have some space. That's what happens when you have states that don't have good solvency. So California, some of the charts concern me. So a lot of my money went to Florida, and this for reasons of this. This is a $230,000 house in Florida. It's brand new. And so a lot of the money that I had in California, I sent to Florida because it basically doubled my cash flow, and I have a very boring block house that's able to withstand 160-mile-an-hour wind. And I plan to own them for the rest of my life. So I just want you to realize that some of the charts that are in place in the residential world, they got there by an event that will never happen again. You're not going to have that foreclosure glut explode and ruin all those people's credit. But right now, if you think about why you have so much occupancy and why you were able to raise rents and why there was so many renters show up, it had nothing to do with migrating to California. It had to do with people migrating from ownership to renter. And that could change very radically. So just be careful with this asset that you have, okay?
So I hope that you found this information we've shared from Bruce's presentation informative. That's the idea of all the videos we shoot is we're trying to inform you, the owner. If this has been helpful, please, in the comments below, share with us. Was it helpful? What other topics would you like us to cover? Who could I go out into the marketplace and interview, retrieve information and data from to then bring it back to you, the apartment owner? And what would be substantive that would truly impact your ownership in a positive way? Until we speak again, or until we have the opportunity to meet, I wish you positive cash flow, tenants who behave, and much protection from Uncle Sam. Chris German, the apartment dealer. Have a good day.